Good morning, folks. You can have a look at my shareable studio. You've only seen the window before, because today I am doing a risky repot. Errato here. It doesn't look bad. The outer pot looks alright, but in fact, the inner pot she came in is absolutely terrible. And not because of the slits. That's actually what I did to try and keep her from strangling. That is packed with sphagnum moss in there. That is, and there's only one little hole at the bottom. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So we're going to be putting her into a proper pot. This has actual slits, lots of ventilation, and then that is going to go in this. She's going to be so pretty. So I'm going to put this thing in its camera mount and we're going to get started. So step one was to fill up the outer pot with water so she could soak a little, get the roots all nice and soft and, flexible so I don't break them. This is a danger repot because she's got her flowers still on and I could break the flowers too. I'm going to try to handle her gently. And of course, transplant shock could make her drop them. So, but she's just so unhappy and cramped in this little ridiculous tiny plastic cup. So, we're going to see if I can get her out, and we're gonna try to be real gentle here. So, fortunately, this being a terrible flimsy little cup makes it easy to get off. Alrighty. And then we're going to get all this sphagnum off. Sphagnum moss can be very good for orchids. Orchids like it humid, and sphagnum stays damp. But orchid roots can rot. And the other thing is that since orchids are epiphytes in nature, all these big fat roots would be dangling out in the air or clinging, helping the plant cling to a tree trunk. So they're being suffocated in here with the moss being packed in so tight. Sphagnum moss is good, but it needs to be loose so it can keep damp, but also aerated. And the orchids tend to be in more, dense mediums when you get them, because that works for them in a nursery condition. That works for them when they're babies. That's fine. That's fine the way that they're grown. But it's not fine for them to live in your house. Your house has different conditions from the greenhouse they would be in. Oh, there's a dead root. See? That's one that got strangled and was rotting off. Anyways, so it's almost always a good idea to repot any plant you get immediately, because nursery conditions and your home conditions are never going to be the same. I should take this stake off. Let's see. Snip, snip. Out you come. She has a lot of blooms, so her flowers do need a little support. But right now I got a hand on there, so whatever. So that should be fine. Anyway, we're gonna get all this moss off so her roots can breathe, and then what I'm gonna repot her in. We'll have some moss in it. I'll put in a little sphagnum to help with the moisture, but it's mostly going to be this orchid bark. Yeah, let's skip ahead now to when I have finished getting all this junk out. Alright, so I've got all the moss out. You can just see how much of it there was packed into this teeny cup. It was absolutely suffocating this. So now that we can see the roots, they're looking pretty healthy. The yellow parts are healthy too. Orchid roots photosynthesize, so that's why they're green. but they get enough light from the leaves. They don't need extra from the roots, so it doesn't really matter if they're in the light or not. And also they'll grow top roots. See these guys here? Coming up between the leaves, they're just pointing up. Yeah. So they'll just stick some roots out into the air and sun. Anyway, the yellow ones are fine, but this brown one here is dead. So I've sterilized some snips, and I'm just going to snip that off. Right close to the base, but you never want to cut into healthy root or plant when you're trimming like this. You only cut off the dead bit, and I don't really see any other dead bits. I'm honestly surprised with how suffocated this was and how wet it was, how long it was taking to dry out, that there's not more rot. Well, I mean, there is one little piece that just tore off when I was plucking out the moss. But anyways, that looks pretty good. So we're going to get our new container, and going to get some fresh moss. So I'm going to put in a little handful of sphagnum here at the bottom, and instead of packing it down in, I'm going to kind of fluff it up, actually. I'm going to keep that nice and fluffy. Let's see, let's get a little more. And I have a little bit right at the very bottom just to help it wick up moisture. And then, let's see how I can do this without, I need about 4 hands here, but I've only got the 2. Alright, so we want to support the leaves and the flower stalk, and we want to just put that where we want it. So, just with the edge of the sort of lower part of the stem just at the top. And now we're going to put in some bark. And this is going to take a while too. I think I'm going to fast forward because this is going to be awkward and forever. So join me in a moment when I've filled this with mixes of bark and sphagnum, and I might actually dig out some clay pellets. I got some of those around here somewhere too, just to aerate a little more. Anyways, I'll be right back. And she's done. And I made quite a mess. But you can see in there we've got layered bark and little pebbles and little sphagnum moss and little air pockets. Just little ones. Don't want huge big gaps, but the roots need to be able to breathe. So there we go. Now the last step is just put her in her decorative pot, which is kind of optional, honestly, but they look nice. So because this big pot I got is way taller than the inner pot, I just put a little extra bark inside to fill it up to the right level. So let's do that. And I have to move my camera. Be right back. And there she is, in her spot, taller than ever, looking absolutely beautiful. Just look at her. Her beautiful pot. Just love it. Just completely stoked with how she looks now. And in the whole lineup, too. The taller pot is a nice contrast to the rest. Anyway, I'm sure I'll be back again soon. I have lots of other fun plant things I want to do. So thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you later.